Hi, welcome to your day 7 of your week-long challenge with me. My name is Melissa Krieger with DoYogaWithMe.com. It's been a great week of learning lots of different types of movements and some great basic poses, and especially how to integrate the breath and work your core at the same time. So today's practice pulls that all together. You might want to have 2 chunky blocks, and I'd have them hanging around the top of the mat so they're just available for you. And as usual, the Savasana will be short, but if you'd like to stay longer, please do. Congratulations. Have fun. We'll begin today's practice lying on our backs. You might tuck your chin a little bit closer to your chest. You can set up your arms and legs however they're comfortable. Your eyes can be opened or closed. Taking a little bit of time to settle in, settling into your body, settling into your breath. Slow your breath down. Start to extend your exhale, blowing the breath all the way out right to the bottom. Notice how the inhale comes in really easily when you exhale all the way out. And along with that extended exhale, you can also start to engage more through the deep core. So drawing back at the low belly and pulling up at your pelvic floor. Remember, on the inhale, you're just letting everything open up, get a good breath in. Exhaling all the way out. Trying to gather up at your pelvic floor, draw back at your low belly. Stretch out through your arms and legs. Reach out through your fingers and your toes. And then walk your upper body and your lower body a little bit over towards the same side. So maybe both a little bit over towards the right side. Getting a little bit of a side stretch, a crescent moon. And then try that other side. Reaching out, breathing into that side stretch. And come on back through to center. Bring your feet in, knees bent, take your feet as wide as the mat. Arms could stretch out, move into your windshield wiper legs, please. The head may want to move on this. Just working our way through all the different movements of the spine and warming up our shoulders, warming up our hips. Bring the legs back through to center. Let the knees knock in towards each other. Let's get into the shoulders. Bend your arms, grab your elbows, and circle your arms. An 8 shape can feel interesting as well. And go both ways. Bring your arms down beside you. Walk your feet in a little bit closer together. Draw one leg in towards you. Hold onto the back of the thigh. And stretch and bend that leg a few times. Just easing into the hamstrings. Keep the leg up now and move your ankle. And your ankle can move a lot of different ways. You can point and flex. You can shift or sway the foot from side to side. Take big circles. Go both ways for those circles. And bring your foot down. Hold on to the back of the other leg. Stretch and bend. Keep it up and then move that ankle all the different ways that it can. Some big circles. Might get a few cracks and pops. It's okay. It's really normal. And bring your feet down to the floor. Waking up through the legs a little bit more, the abdominals, the backside. This is a variation of bridges I called walking bridges. They'll get a little bit harder as we go along. So start like you normally would with the feet fairly close together, fairly close to the hips. Bring the arms down beside you. Take a big inhale, big exhale. The next time you inhale, push your feet down into the floor and lift up your hips. And then lower back down again. And then walk your feet away from you towards the top of the mat a couple inches. Do that again. Push your feet down, lift your hips up and lower. Keep walking the feet out so you're changing the angle. As the heels move further away from the backside, it's getting to be a harder and harder pose, which is the idea. I'm using this more as an exercise to wake your hamstrings up. You might get to the point where just the heels are on the floor. That's fine. Lifting and lowering. Come back in. So like we did before, coming in a few inches at a time, lifting and lowering. Changing the angle to make them a little bit more manageable. So a different kind of back extension, more to build some strength. And lower back down again. Take a big exhale, wake up your core. Lift one leg and then the other, so your legs are in tabletop position, and then stretch your arms up towards the sky, turn your palms in towards each other. A little bit of abdominal work here. Suck back on your low belly, pull up on your pelvic floor. Let both arms move back behind you, and one leg starts to straighten and stretch forward. Inhale, exhale to come back in. Trying to keep the torso really still. Keep going, alternating the legs from side to side. So a different variation of a dead bug, working to keep the torso pretty still, so the leg doesn't need to be anywhere near the floor. Remember, when we're working to wake up our abdominals, it should be work. There should be some heat, a little bit of activity through the belly, but there shouldn't be any pain in the low back. Go for a couple more on each side. So being able to distinguish the difference between that work and it being challenging and experiencing pain. I don't want you to experience pain. Pull back in again. Give your knees a squeeze. Little circles here just to help release the hips. And go the other way. To come up and towards all fours, you could roll over to your side and push up, or you could cross your ankles, hold behind your thighs, and rock up and down a few times. Some of you will really like the way this feels on your back. Some of you won't. So rolling to your side could be a good choice. Come on into all fours. Stretch one leg back behind you, land on your toes, and then just push out through that heel a couple times. Take that same leg, hop it over towards the other side, so across your other leg, and peek over your shoulder, so getting a side stretch. Bring that leg back in again, back into all fours, and then stretch your other leg back behind you and rock back and forth a few times. Hop that leg over to the opposite side and look over your back shoulder. And then notice how strong that stretch gets on the inhale, right? You really feel it open up. And then exhaling to let it go. And come back into all fours. And move through your cat-cow curls. So arching and rounding. Maybe a little bit of circling. Change directions. And come back through to center. You can either head back towards child's pose, or you might make your way up towards downward dog. If you're heading to downward dog, hands a little forward, a little wider, fingers flared out, toes tuck under, lift up the knees, push the hips back. It can feel great to stay quite still, or there can be movement. You could bend one knee at a time. The hips could sway a bit from side to side. You could stretch one leg up in the air and then the other. From either downward dog or all fours, step your right foot forward. Remember, you may need to use your hand to get your leg there. No big deal. Shifting into warrior two, turn your back toes out, parallel to the short side of the mat. Push down and press up. Checking for that external rotation, so the knees opening up to the baby toe side. Stretching the arms, front and back. Reverse or exalted warrior. Bring your back hand to your thigh. Flip your front palm up. Stretch your front arm up. This is enough. You can stay straight up and down if that's a good choice. Or you might take an exhale, suck back on your low belly, pull up on your pelvic floor and lean back a little bit more. You can be looking anywhere you like, down, to the side, up, whatever's the best for you. Pull through to triangle. So straighten your front leg as you bring your arms back through to center. Shift your hips back behind you. Reach as far forward as you can and tip down. The hand can rest somewhere on that lower leg. Top arm up to the ceiling. Again, looking wherever you like. Pretending there's that wall behind you, kind of leaning back into it. Round a breath. Extended side angle, bend your front arm, bend your front knee. The top arm fingers can still reach up towards the ceiling, or that arm could reach down and around, fingers coming forward. So the past few poses, we've been in this external rotation. The hips are more kind of open towards the long side of the mat, but we'll change that for the next part of our sequence. Drop down into a lunge. Lift up your back heel so your back toes point forward. So we've kind of shifted the hips, right? We're a little bit more neutral or pointed forward. Building this into warrior A pose. The back foot slides in a little bit closer and the back toes turn out slightly. And before you come up, you might just take a peek. You want the front foot a little bit over towards its own side. That'll feel more stable. Push your feet down to lift yourself up. Bending into that front knee. Stretch your arms up so the back leg is straight. Heels pushing down, arms reach up. They're maybe not straight, whatever gives you more space around your neck and your shoulders. And breathe. This gets a little tricky. We're shifting this into a balance. You can watch me and then come into it or go into it with me, whatever makes more sense. Release your arms. Shift your weight into your front foot. Start to straighten your front leg. Bend your back knee, reach back and find your foot, your heel, your pant leg, whatever you can get. So we're here in a quadricep stretch. It could feel a bit more stabilizing to bring the other hand in for half prayer, or that arm might stretch up. Couple of breaths. Working back into that warrior one, take a big step back with that back foot. Bend into the front knee again. Take your arms up. Round a breath. Straighten your front leg. Bring your hands to your hips. Pull your hips back behind you as you tip your torso forward, coming into pyramid pose. The hands could stay here on the hips. Come down to the blocks if you've got them, or maybe even coming down to the floor, depending on you. Let's do this variation where there's more extension through the spine. So try to reach the top of the head forward and the tailbone back, looking just around that big toe in that front foot. One more round of breath. Soften your knees a little bit to help you get out of here. Step your back foot forward. Come up halfway, lengthen the spine, inhale. Exhale, fold back down again. Move back into downward dog, so bend the knees enough so your hands can get to the floor. Step back to downward dog. All fours or child's pose would work too, hanging out here for a couple of breaths. If you're in child's pose, make your way back up to all fours or downward dog, and then step your left foot forward to lunge. Turn your back toes out, flatten that foot down into the floor, coming up into warrior two, going through the sequence on the second side. Settle into the shape and then find your breath. Remember to keep exhaling all the way out, right to the bottom. If you can, drawing back at your low belly, pulling up at your pelvic floor. Backhand to your thigh, front palm flips up, stretch that front arm up. This is enough. Or, big exhale, wake up your core. Slide your backhand down a little more so it becomes a bit more back bendy if that's a good choice for you. Triangle pose, straighten your front leg, kick your hips back behind you, lean forward, tip down. There's a tendency for this top arm to really kind of fly back behind you. Bring your arm up a little bit and even look up briefly and try to line up your thumb and your nose. Keep your arm there, and then you can still look wherever you want. You don't have to look up. That doesn't work for everybody. Extended side angle, bend your front arm, bend your front knee. You made that little shelf. It's quite a big bend into the front knee. This arm can keep stretching up, or that arm could drop down and around. We've got that shift in the hips coming up, so coming down to the lunge. Lift up your back heel. Turn your back toes forward, so getting set up well for the next round of poses where the hips are more squared forward. Step that back foot in a little bit. Turn your back toes out slightly, maybe front foot to its own side. Push down to lift up. Bending into that front knee and stretch your arms up. Got that balance coming up. It might help to look down. It might help to bring your arms down. Big exhale, wake up your core, shift your weight into your front leg, straighten it. Bend your back knee, reach back, try to grab your foot where you can. Maybe that half prayer is helpful for stability, or that arm can stretch up. You can definitely play around with your gaze, but generally speaking, it's easier to look down. Looking on the horizon might be okay. Looking up will be challenging. Shifting into warrior one just for a beat. Step back. Bend your front knee, arms up. Straighten your front leg. Hands to the hips, pull the hips back, tip forward for pyramid, maybe grabbing hold of those blocks, whatever height you need them at, as close as you need them as well, and then lengthen out. So there's a tendency for the hips to kind of swing over to one side. Squeeze the legs together and you'll feel that that left hip will kind of pull in so your hips even out a little bit. One more long breath. Bend your knees so you have a bit of space. Step your back foot forward. You might move the blocks out of the way. Slide the hands to the shins, come up halfway, flatten your back. Exhale and fold down, hands to the floor. Step or lunge or hop. Back to high plank, top of the push-up. Breathe in. Might lower your knees down first, and then exhale, lower yourself down. Try to get your hips and your chest there at the same time. Stretch your arms and legs back behind you, maybe the feet a little bit separated. Locust pose, lift your chest, arms and legs, and lower. Do that twice more. Lower back down again and either make it comfortable to rest on your stomach, push to child's pose, or move up and back to downward dog. Anywhere where it feels like you can have a little bit of a rest. Wherever you're coming from, meet up in a seated position. I wouldn't suggest sitting up on any props here, just because of the sequence that we're doing. Stretch your legs out in front of you and walk your hips back a little bit. Keep your left leg straight. Bend your right knee, cross it over. Bring your hands towards the shin, get up a little bit taller, and then taking a twist, you can give that knee a little squeeze with your arm, and the other hand can come back behind you. Open up the chest to the long side of the mat, and then maybe peek over your back shoulder. Release your twist. Lean back into your hands. Start to bend that straight leg, drag it in, and now your ankle is crossed over the thigh. So it's the same shape that we take when we take that glute stretch on our back, figure four it's sometimes called. And to increase the stretch, if you need to, the foot can slide in a little closer, your torso can sit up a little bit higher. Take a couple breaths here. As you're ready, release out of that. Straightening your other leg out. And then cross the opposite leg over. Bring the hands to the shins, get up a little bit taller. Twisting, give the knee a squeeze. Other hand can come back behind you. Sit up tall. Look over your shoulder. Keep completing that exhale. So blowing all the way out. Untwist. Lean back into your hands. Bend that leg that's straight. Ankle crosses over the thigh. Sit up into it. Couple of breaths. Move out of it. Start to uncross your legs. You can bring yourself up a little bit more to the top of the mat so you've got some space to lower yourself down onto your back. Stretch your arms out to the side. Turn your palms down. So you need a little bit more support from the floor here. Bring your feet and your legs right into the center line with your knees bent and your feet flat. Take a big exhale, wake up your core, and let your legs drop from side to side. So it's similar to windshield wiper legs, but because our feet and our legs are close together, it's a little bit twistier. It's a bit more of a stretch. And for some of you, this maybe isn't a great choice. So you could certainly go back to a wide leg if you wanted to. It's the same twist, but a little bit softer. If you are doing this narrow one, pushing the palms down into the floor and gathering up a little bit more strength from the deep core with your exhale, pulling back on the low belly, pulling up on your pelvic floor just for a bit more support. Drop over to one side and then stay. You might turn your palms up towards the ceiling, tuck in your chin a little bit. You can look whatever direction you like. Take a few breaths. You can push your arms down into the ground, bring your legs back through to center, and then dropping over to the other side, kind of shifting up onto that hip as best as you can so the legs are more stacked. Look where it's the best for your neck, and breathe. Look back up again. Push your arms down, bring your legs back through to center. We'll finish our practice with little bridge. So the feet fairly close together, fairly close in towards your backside. Arms down beside you. Big exhale, wake up your core. Push your feet down, lift your hips up. Pretend like there's a block in between your knees. You're giving it a bit of a squeeze. This is enough. Or you might flip your palms up towards the ceiling. This is enough. Or you could take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, and then work your shoulders under you to open your chest up a little bit more. Wherever you are, take 3 more breaths. If you've got your arms underneath you, hands linked up, unlink, roll down. Just notice if there's anything you need to do before we settle into Savasana. And when you're ready to go, stretch your legs out or keep them bent, whatever your back likes better. Arms rest where they're comfortable. And let yourself relax into the ground. If you want to enjoy your Savasana longer, please do. Ignore me. Otherwise, start to bring some breath, a little bit bigger inhales, a little bit of movement back into the body. Could also circle out your wrists and your ankles. Blink your eyes. Stretch out and yawn. As you're ready, bend your knees. Roll to your side. And pause. Push your hand down. Press up towards a comfortable seated position. Hands to prayer. Close your eyes. Bow your head down. Notice how you feel. Thank yourself for practicing. Thank your body for all its hard work. Open your eyes. Lift your gaze. Namaste.